Alright, what's up everybody, this is Spooky, and this is another off-the-cuff guide for you guys for Zenless Zone Zero, especially you newcomers and Xbox players that have been following the channel. Now, I want to talk to you about 3 of my favorite A-rank agents who can be very powerful for you, and some people really underestimate these agents. People are so obsessed with their fancy, Astral and Caesar King, and we even had Yuzaha coming very soon. So people are, they love having their S-rank agents, especially their S-rank supports. But these are 3 A-rank supports that, if you notice here on Predwin's tier list, they're very, very high up on the tier chart, and that's because they have some very useful skills. In fact, not only are you newcomers maybe underestimating these characters, but I find that even long-term players don't have all 3 of these characters built, which is kind of crazy to me. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is Lucy, and part of what makes Lucy so good is that she has a special buff called Cheer On, and it's explained here in the EX. But basically what Cheer On says is that it's going to take a certain percentage of her attack plus 100 up to a maximum of 600, and it's going to pass that buff on to the rest of your team or whoever's the point character. And it's pretty easy to keep her in this status by just using your EX, whether it's the regular EX, which is the line drive, or the charge version of the EX, and passing that on to other characters via quick assist. Now, one other thing that's nice is that when you start to have her in the various mindscapes, she gives other buffs too. So while in Cheer On, not only does she give 600 attack, but at Mindscape 4, she gives an additional 10% crit damage. And also the Mindscape 6, it says a lot of things, but basically more or less it says that the person that's currently on point, if they have Cheer On, by using EX specials, they can extend the Cheer On state for a little while, which is something that your DPS character wants to kind of be doing anyway. Now, rather than just tell you about Lucy's skills, I want to show you some of what Lucy can do in action. But before I do, I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is my friends at ldshop.gg. This video is sponsored by LD Shop, the makers of LD Player. LDShop.gg lets you save up to 29% on Zenless Zone Zero monochromes, internet membership, and other shop goods. It's a safe and reliable way to top up at a discount. You don't need to give any personal information, just your server and game ID. You can also receive your first top-up double bonus and purchase unique packages as they become available in the shop. Here's an example of me using LD Shop to grab 3 months of internet membership. After putting in my server and user ID, I can quickly complete my purchase. Within 1 minute, the 900 monochromes, 300 for each month, were delivered to my account, and you can see on my calendar that 90 additional days of daily rewards were delivered. If you use the link in the description and comments of this video, you can receive additional discounts such as a 50% off coupon, which lets you save up to $50 on top of the low prices. Also, if you spend over $80, you can become a part of their VIP system, which gives free internet membership. Alright guys, so I think rather than just telling you about what Lucy does, I want to show you guys in a combat. So I got here one of the combat against a dead-end butcher, pretty easy fight, but this is a good way for me to show you what Lucy can add to your DPS and to your teams. So first off, when you hit with either the line drive EX or the fly ball EX, once you quick assist, you're going to notice that in the effect details, I passed over the buff, and everybody here on the team got that extra 600 attack, which is great because pretty much that means that anytime that Lucy does an assist, I can quick assist to the next person, and I can give them this buff. I can also add Astral Voice stacks too if I put Astral Voice on Lucy, because every time you do a quick assist with Astral Voice, you're going to give that character a little bit of extra damage. Now, one more thing that you can do is if I use an EX move with Soldier, you're going to notice that it gave me some of the time back. So even though I was at 14 seconds before, notice that although I spent a little bit of time doing the EX, now I'm at 15 seconds. Now, these stacks do run out eventually. You can't do it infinitely, but this is a way to keep the attack buff on the team for as long as possible. So now if I go back to Lucy and do it again, you're going to notice that if I take a look at everybody, guess what? The buff got refreshed, especially if I had quick assist or something like that. So it's something that you can use for a while. Now, I want to show you one more technique that's really useful with her, if I can. And this is a technique that you can use during any stun with Lucy. You can also do this with the other 2 assists that I'm going to talk to you about, but it's easiest for me to show it to you with Lucy right now. The idea behind this is that you want to do 2 Astral Voice stacks extremely quickly, and that way you can set up all 3. Alright, so now that I have the enemy about to be stunned, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tag to Lucy, I'm going to cancel the chain and use the quick assist, and then I'm going to do Lucy's chain once again. And what's going to happen is that's going to give me 2 of the stacks of the Astral Voice. Now, if I want the third stack, I could really quickly tag to Lucy, and then I could do the same thing. I could do another fly ball or a line drive, and then after I do this, once I tag in, not only am I going to have the attack buff, but although it doesn't show it to you here, I'm going to have all 3 stacks of the Astral Voice do as much damage as possible during my stun rotation or during my other rotations. So this is a very good way to get a lot of Astral Voice stacks really quickly, especially when you have multiple quick assist characters like this. I can Polka, and now I can keep the Astral Voice going for longer, and I can go back to Lucy, and I can do my super, and guess what? I extended the Astral Voice, and I kept the buff the entire time. So this is a good way to really capitalize on the extra damage that you can do. Anyway, take advantage of this technique and make sure with Lucy to always constantly be refreshing this Astral Voice, as well as constantly refreshing your buff. And as long as you do it right, this 600 attack is going to be on your team pretty much perpetually if you use it the right way. Now, as far as how to build Lucy, it's really going to be dependent on how much you want to invest into her skills. But really, I only recommend spending a lot of time investing in the chain attack, which is something that you're going to want to use whenever you stun the enemy, as well as investing in the special attack. And you only have to invest in the special attack enough to give yourself enough attack to get the max 600 attack buff. And so we actually have some hard numbers for that. It's 1923 attack at level 16 special, which I don't even bother having, 2000 attack at level 15 special, 2475, your special is only level 10, and it's 2800 if you have a level 8 special. So you don't really have to build it that high depending on your equipment. For me, all I would need is like level 10 special, and I'd be good enough. But I like to invest a lot of skills in my characters, so I go this high with them. So pretty much give her some special until you have enough to get the max attack, and then give her chain attack / ultimate, so that when you use your chain attacks and your ultimates, you're going to get a little extra damage out of her. These other 3 skills you don't even have to really bother with. Now, as far as the equipment, it's going to be similar for all 3 of these characters I'm about to talk to you about, but if you put her in the Astral Voice set, then whenever she does quick assist, she's going to add a little bit of damage to your team. Whenever you do a quick assist, you're going to get 1 stack of a buff, and each stack adds 8% damage to the team. The max can be 24% damage, but even if all you do is get 2 stacks, you're already going to get 1% more than what you can get from the Swing Jazz, and the buff lasts for a little bit longer. It lasts for a total of 15 seconds. So you might as well put these characters in the Astral Voice most of the time, unless you're going to have another character on the team also using Astral Voice, and that's the time where you can experiment and use like a 4-piece Swing Jazz or a different 4-piece set to get more out of the buffs. Most of the time, the best thing to do is put all 3 of these characters I'm about to tell you about in the Astral Voice. And that's really it. That's all there is to it, to building a good Lucy and making her work. Obviously, if you get her to the M6, you're going to get even more out of her because of the extra crit damage you get from the M4, the damage you get from this M6, and everything else. But otherwise, she's pretty simple to use, and honestly, I'm really amazed that more people don't build this character because she goes on so many teams. Alright everyone, so we got the next character that I want to talk to you all about, and it's Nicole. And I find that a lot of people underestimate this character, primarily because she's one of the characters they give you for free at the start of Chapter 1. So many people might not realize how powerful she is, but she has some really strong support abilities. The first one is here as a part of her core passive, which is that when you have it maxed out, whenever she does her enhanced bullets, which she won't use that much, but you will use this, the energy field, which comes from her EX moves as well as from ultimate. Whenever these hit an enemy, the target's defense is reduced by 40%. And it says 3.5 seconds, but keep in mind that that's 3.5 seconds at the end of the energy field, because the energy fields hit multiple times. So this is a really good way to shred the crap out of an enemy's defense, especially some of the higher defense enemies that you'll see in Shiyu defense. Now, in addition to that, if you happen to put her together with an ether damage unit, she's not too great with Yishuan, but she is really good with Zhuyuan. If you happen to do that, then whenever she does a debuff on the enemy, everybody does 25% more ether damage to that target for 3.5 seconds as well, which is really nice. Now, on top of that, one thing that's extra nice is that whenever she does some ether damage using her EX, her chain attack, or her ultimate, these are all things that already do the energy field. When she does this, everybody does 24% more damage to the target. That's super nice. That means that altogether, she's doing 40% defense shred, she's doing 24% extra against the target, and she also has some things that her Mindscape does too. Now, her Mindscape at M6, which is something that you're going to get eventually just by playing the game, everybody gets a chunk of crit rate, which is really nice. So that means altogether, you're doing 40% defense shred, you're doing 24% increased damage with her signature engine, and you're also doing a chunk of crit rate that you get for the characters too. It's up to 50% crit rate that she can give. Now I'm going to show you some things about Nicole for those that might not realize some of the cool things that she can do. Alright, so here I'm going to show you one of the example teams of Nicole, and this is keeping it as free to play as I really can while showing you the most out of her kit. So this is going to be Nicole together with Zhu Yuan, as well as with Poker, just to have a stunner in there so I can show you some of the techniques. Now one thing that's nice is that she has a lot of different ways to use this energy field, but let's do the basic way and we'll just charge up EX and let it rip. And as soon as I do that, you're going to see that the enemy, under the effect details, is going to have a 40% defense shred, as well as everybody doing a little bit more ether damage. Now, I don't think this is going to show the extra effects, which is the crit rate that you get too, as well as the 24% increased damage you get for the weapon. So I don't think those things are going to show here. But still, it's really nice to have that defense shred. The only annoying part is having to constantly maintain it. So you're going to have to pretty much, whenever you have meter with Nicole, or when you have a good chance to tag her in, you're going to have to try to bring her back in just to use her EX skill once again and get some more damage in there. But still, it's really nice to have, and she's relatively easy to use in that regard. Once you learn how to use her right, you can do this pretty much whenever you want. Now, I'm also going to show you a similar technique to what we talked about, which is that when you get the stun, you can do the same little double trick. So you can go Nicole, cancel out, quick assist, back to Nicole. And if you do this right, you're going to have 2 stacks of the Astral Voice, or 3 stacks if you used it recently. Unfortunately, it's not a thing that it shows you. It's like a thing that you have to get used to timing. But when you use it right, it can do a grip of damage. And then we can continue to maintain as well the EX by just doing it, or doing the super, whatever else. We can continue to maintain the Astral Voice by continuing the quick assist. I'll go to Poker, and then I'll tag, and then I'll quick assist again. And before you know it, you've got all the stacks just constantly ready to go, which is really nice to have. And then you can also just keep on tagging to her whenever she has EX to keep on doing the same thing over and over.
You're nothing but prey. Stop resisting. It's no good surrendering.
Now, usually I like to end in the quick assist once I know I have enough stacks. And then tag back to her, bring in Zhu Yuan, and just bring the pain, pretty much. That's the idea. Anyway, if you use Nicole right, as you can see, she can make it so that you can shred defense on the enemy so quickly. And this doesn't just work against these enemies that I'm talking about, the Notorious Hunt, but you can do this in Shield Defense, you can do this in Deadly Assault, you can use her everywhere. In fact, she's also an extremely good teammate for Astral, because, you know, Astral buffs attack by a grip. You know, Astral gives the 1200 attack buff. So if you use her together with Astra, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a scenario where you have Astral giving her 1200 plus attack, and then you're going to have Nicole in there, and Nicole's going to be doing a defense shred that combos really well with that 1200 attack buff too. So Nicole's just really nice to have. Now, as far as building her, she's really easy to build too. The same deal. I only really recommend building this EX, as well as building the quick assist and the ultimate, because these are the 2 main ways she's going to do damage. You're not going to use this basic attack too often. This only does so much days. You don't really need it that bad. For the equipment, I like to use her together with Astral. So notice that instead of having her in the 4-piece Astral Voice, I have her in the 4-piece Swing Jazz. But if you're not using her together with another support, if you're using the typical Stunner, Nicole, and then Damage Dealer, when you're using her in that type of typical team, then you can just put her in the 4-piece Astral Voice and just let her constantly quick assist. And by doing those quick assists, you're going to get the defense shred, you're going to get the extra damage from the weapon, you're going to get the extra crit rate from the M6 if you have the M6, and it's going to make her really phenomenal, especially against tougher enemies and high defense enemies. Alright, so the last one that I want to talk to you all about is Soukaku. And Soukaku is a character that I find is even more underestimated than the other 2 characters that I just talked about. Believe it or not, this is one of the best teammates, bar none, even including the S ranks, so even including your Astral and your Caesar Kings and all those supports out there. She's one of the best teammates for Miyabi. And Miyabi's coming very soon, the next banner. So this is a character that you might have wanted to go for anyway. Now, you need around 2500 attack if you have her in the core skill F to get the most out of her kit. And one thing that she can do, which is actually crazy, is that she can add up to 1000 attack to your team if you use the the max fly the flag, which is the EX when you have all 3 of the stacks. And this is a crazy buff. This is the same amount of attack as Caesar King gives, and it lasts for almost as long as Caesar's buff too. Caesar's buff is around 60 seconds. This is 22 seconds. So you're going to have to tag her back and forth a little bit to get the most out of this. But most stun windows are less than this 22 seconds. So if you do it right and use the fly the flag correctly, you can do a grip of damage. And also she adds the ice damage for the team too. So when you use Vortex to consume the fly the flag, the ice damage of the entire team is increased by 20% as well, which is legitimately crazy. This is a grip of damage that she can add to your team, and it's definitely a grip of damage that she can add to Miyabi. Now, if what I was talking to you guys about isn't good enough, on top of that, she also can add a 10% ice resistance shred whenever she hits them with the fly the flag. And this is not just when she consumes stack, this is any time that she does it. So you can use EX moves to not only give the team a huge buff, but you can also debuff their ice resistance for a while, which is perfect for Miyabi's charge attack right after tagging in. Alright, so now I'm going to show you one of the strong teams of Soukaku, which is Soukaku together with Miyabi. And you don't necessarily need Miyabi for this. You can also do this together alongside Ellen if you have her, which is another strong ice agent. But pretty much this is what things will look like. The idea is you want to get the stacks, however you can get them. And then once you have those stacks ready to go, whether it's because you built it up or whatever else, the idea is you want to spend the stacks and get the most out of them. And the way you do that is pretty much you do her charge EX move, which is the flag. So I'm going to use that right now, and I'm going to show you how much stats this is going to give if you do it right after you tag. So here's Miyabi now, and she's going to have the fly the flag. And notice here that she's got at the bottom, it says 500 attack, but actually the way the core passive works is it's got both the buffs. So it's 500 attack, and then it's an additional 500 attack. So she's added 1000 attack to Miyabi just now, just by having her max amount of stacks. The trickiest part about playing Soukaku is that it's not as easy to keep the stacks up with her, even though she has some stuff in her mindscapes that helps her get the stacks quicker. So you're going to have to practice with this character a lot more. I do recommend spending some time in training mode with her. But the big deal is, look how much damage Miyabi can do with this. It's legitimately crazy. Notice the enemy's just getting shredded. You see how fast this thing died? And that's partly because of all the amazing buffs that Soukaku's given to the team. And then once you get that kill in there, it's pretty much the idea is build those stacks right back up, and then just go ham once again as soon as the opportunity arises. So it's extremely strong. She's such a good, powerful agent. And in fact, I'm really surprised that people still sleep on this character after so long. But please, y'all gotta take advantage of Soukaku, because what she adds to the team is just really just out of this world. She's so powerful. And people really will try to tell you things like, oh, Soukaku's hard to use. But really, like, how hard is it? It's just do this charge attack, and then tag to Miyabi or tag to your ice agent. And then once you got your ice agent in there, just go ham. Just destroy things. The amount of damage that you're going to do with these buffs together is so crazy. And the fact that the buff lasts for 22 seconds is quite nice, because that means that you can keep it for such a long time. And then once you got her super available, this basically counts as the same thing. It's going to give you all the stacks instantly, and then it's going to spend the stacks right away, and Miyabi's going to get right back in there just to do what she does. It's so powerful. So guys, you got to take advantage of it. It's really one way to bring out the most out of your ice agents, whether it's your Ellen or Miyabi. One of the best teams of both those characters, in fact, right now is Lycan. And I kind of wish I had Lycan, because then I'd show that to you too, rather than showing it to you with a different character like Jufufu. But still, it's just so incredibly powerful. Now, as far as how to build her, it's the same deal as the other two agents. The most annoying thing about Soukaku is that you need the 2500 attack with the core skill F. That's the toughest part about it. But once you have 2500 plus attack and you can get the max out of the buff, then she's so strong. You don't even really need these skills that I have on her. You could kind of have the same thing as the other two and build the EX, as well as build the chain attack / the ultimate, because those things will make her do a little bit more damage while you're involved in your DPS rotations. As far as the equipment goes, it's the same deal. Just give her the 4-piece Astral Voice unless you're using her with someone else on the team that also has Astral Voice. And if that's the case, just put her in the swing jars. Anyway, I didn't want to take up too much of your time with this video, guys. I just wanted to talk to you about 3 agents that really, I think people are just not using enough. And once again, it's Soukaku, Lucy, and Nicole. So if you have these characters on your roster, especially if you have mindscapes of them, and you're like, man, I don't have an Astral Yao, I couldn't pull for Caesar, really, you got to consider building these characters, because they add so much for your teams. Anyway, thanks as always, everyone. We got more videos coming on the channel here very soon. I hope you guys will be excited for them. In the meantime, I'm happy to make something a little small for you guys. Just let you guys remember that I know that you're out there. Thank you very much as always, and I'll see you all later, guys. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching.